For our next lesson, we're going to be talking about the Move tool in navigation, and that button is this four-way arrow called Move. Shortcut for this, I believe, is the M button. Let's double check that. Preference, Move. This would be under just Tools, Move. Yeah, so assigned to the letter M. So if we go to, we're in our rectangle, just hit the letter M, and that brings us to our Move tool button. So what you can do with this is a real powerful tool. I use it all the time. But essentially, you can grab your point where you're in your model. This is an object that we've grouped, and I'm going to move it over to this point right over here. We can move it over in different ways. However you want to, move the mouse around. But yeah, that gets you right back and forth to where you need to. And basically it'll just allow you to put it wherever you want, but it does allow you to snap to endpoints, snap to midpoints, and pretty much wherever you want to put it. So that's how that Move tool works. The rotate, which is a cool function on here, is so if you have a grouped object, yeah, because it has to be grouped. These little plus buttons come up on the corners of your object, and while you're still under the Move tool, it brings up this like protractor here, and you can just left click once and then rotate your object around, wherever you want. Put it at a 45-degree angle, rotate it 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever you want to do. And that goes the same for the side, and you can kind of see it does the same thing here as well. But that is for grouped objects only, I believe. I don't think it works for things that are not. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to do that. So that's how the Move tool works in terms of, back and forth and then, rotating. But you can also move up and down on the vertical line, which is that blue line right over here. So I'll show you how that works. So if we go to select it, we're going to hit Move, and I just want to bring this up. So I start going forward with my mouse, but you can know that you're going up because it says it shows it on that blue dotted line axis right there. So I'm bringing it up, and I'm just going to select a point where I'm going to put that box. If we redo that, what I just did was I undoed my move by hitting Alt backspace. That is a keyboard shortcut. But let's go ahead and move this back here. So I'm going to grab that point again, and of our object, so space, select, M for move, and I'm going to bring this up, and I want to bring it up a specific amount. So I want to go 10 feet tall. So if I type in, while I left clicked it once, type in 10 apostrophe, and you can see that down here at the bottom right. If you type in 10 apostrophe without touching anything else, hit enter, that just brought this box up exactly 10 feet from the bottom. So that's how that works. I'm sure most of you probably know about it, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. It also can do a pretty cool thing by copying itself and making arrays of itself. So I'm going to bring it back down to here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the Control button, and you can see right here it gives me that little plus button. So that's minus, and that's plus is right here. If we hit it once, click our endpoint or wherever we want to copy this from, but I always do it by an endpoint. So we're going to left click once and make a copy of itself. So let's say I want to bring that box over 5 feet. So I type in 5 apostrophe, hit enter. I'm going to change that. Let's do this 15 feet. 15 feet. And I'm going to just kind of quickly look at it here. So we've got 15 feet spacing in between each box. But let's say I want to make more copies of this. So if we start again, let's just go ahead and hit our control button, and then, oops, excuse me, select our object, hit the move tool, control, click our endpoint, move it over 15 feet. And then before you do anything else, before you push anything else, you can type in, let's say we want to make 10 copies of this. We can hit X10 or 10X, doesn't really matter, but times 10, hit enter. And that times 10 was right down here in the bottom, this little, where the distance kind of comes in at. You can type in your values there. But that just made 10 copies of those boxes, you know, in a straight line, which is pretty great. It helps for like trees and, you know, shrubs and plants and all those kinds of things, which has been really helpful. So, and I'm just going to go ahead and undo that. But I do want to show you another way to do that with an extension, to create, you know, I have done this in the past, but I've made, you know, soldier course, borders, you know, like a banding, by using like a component or you know, just a grouped object right here, which is basically my 3/8 inch joint for in between pavers. So that is a grouped object right here, and I do want to show you how I do that. So to do this, you know, copy all of those on an array. What you're going to need to do is draw, you know, let's say you have your path. We're just going to do this real quick here, and here's our path with the arc line. Both of these lines are separate right now, so we do want to conjoin these, and there's an extension first that you want to get is called Weld. You can get that in the extension warehouse. Just type in Weld, and I believe this is it. Just click on Weld and hit install, but I do have it on my toolbar already. So let's just open that up. At least I thought I did. Oh, here it is. So Weld. And now that joined both of these lines together, so that can be helpful, you know, for making like polylines in SketchUp. But what that is going to allow me to do is do this PathCopy deal. So there's another extension to grab under Extension Warehouse called PathCopy. And it is right here. And all you got to do is just install that. But what it does, which is really neat, is it allows you to take that one object that you've created. It's got to be a grouped object, and it allows you to make that object go along this line that you've created, whether it's curved, straight, whatever you want to do. So what you want to do to start that, I think what we do is click our right line and make sure we've got our line selected. Hit extensions and go to PathCopy. Click once. And right down here it says select group or component to copy. So this is grouped object right here, our joint. And I clicked it once, and now it says select distance between over here. So I'm going to say 4, without touching anything else, I'm going to hit 4 inches, hit enter, and that just allowed me to create, you know, our soldier course for the line that we just created, this curved arc. I don't really do it that way as much anymore, because with textures and rendering, you can actually create soldier courses in a little different way. But this can be helpful for, like, let's say trees or something like that. So if you wanted to, you know, or even like boxwoods, let's say you have, you know, a path that you want to line with boxwoods, you can go ahead and grab your boxwood by, you know, selecting the path, hitting extensions, PathCopy, and then selecting your boxwood, and then it'll ask you the distance in between. So let's say you want your, you know, distance between each boxwood to be 18 inches. Just type in 18 inches, and that's going to allow, you know, your boxwood to, you know, carry on this entire pathway at 18 inches. So it's a super, super helpful extension. Highly do recommend using that when you can. But that's really about it for the Move tool. Very powerful tool. I use it all the time.